From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 things that make us go wow.
Wow.
Thank you. I want to start straight away, not introducing ourselves, but introducing our very special guest, Alec Mapa.
Oh, Alec Mapa. She's quite good.
She is, and we're always welcome. We're always so thrilled when she is here with us to really take control.
Our little Christmas package is here.
There you go. I'm Fender Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by Tom Campbell, our Chief Creative Officer, and James St. James, editor of the Wow Report. So we've got 10 things to count down. We're going to start at number 10. And Tom, let's do it.
Number 10.
Number 10 is basically Alec Mapa.
Yes.
It's all about you. And you're here for so many reasons, mostly because we love you and you're part of the family. But you also have something to plug, which makes you more exciting than ever before. And it's very holiday related. So go on.
I always have something to plug.
I was just going to say, we've plugged you more times than anybody else.
Yeah, listen. I finally broke through the Christmas movie barrier of Hollywood, and I'm appearing on a Christmas movie that I started streaming yesterday, December 9th on Peacock. The Housewives of the North Pole, starring me. And a little lady named Kyle Richards, who you may know from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So Blake is very excited. Now, here's the thing. I went in blissfully unaware of what a queer icon Kyle is. So Blake is going to have to explain to me why.
Oh, she's just amazing. She is the OG housewife of what maybe the best Housewives franchise.
She's been on it the longest. I watched the first season, and then after that day trader killed himself. I thought this was a little too grim to watch.
I think it's interesting that she's had 2 huge movies this year, and you and Michael Myers are both her co-stars.
Halloween. She was in Halloween. I forgot.
That's right. This one should have been called Christmas Kills. So she would have had
if it's a holiday. If it's a holiday, Kylie's there. Now, she must have played herself. Did you play Lisa Rinna? What was your role?
I played Lisa Rinna. I went to Palm Springs and a gallon of filler in my bottom lip. No, I play.
Did you film at the North Pole?
No, we play. It takes place in a fictional town called North Pole, Vermont. And Betsy Brandt, who you may know from Breaking Bad, and Kyle Richards play housewives, frenemies, who have been best friends, frenemies for years and years and years. And one year they, because they both have empty nest syndrome, both their kids are at college in a way, they start becoming very competitive about Christmas decorations. And it turns into an all-out war in North Pole, Vermont. Now, while all this is happening, I'm in New York City playing an editor of a BuzzFeed type portal. And I send a reporter out to North Pole, Vermont to get the skinny on what Christmas is like in the real America. And as soon as I find out that there's 2 housewives are fighting, I think that's going to make me the Andy Cohen of BuzzFeed. And so I set them on the story.
It sounds like 9 out of 10 of the Christmas movies, one of which we produced, and yet it's special and unique, and I love that about you.
Go ahead. I was wondering if North Pole was close to Tuckahoe. Like,
it may be.
Take the same train.
It may be. Are we discussing The Bitch Who Stole Christmas?
There's 145 Christmas movies this year, and I've amended. I said there was only one worth watching, which was The Bitch That Stole Christmas. Now I think there's 2.
There's 2 worth watching.
Yeah.
But you know what? People love Christmas movies. They love them, and they don't even have to be good. But
the pressure's off.
That's going to be my next one. That is my next topic. Yes.
We have to write a combined. I've always wanted to combine the horror genre with Christmas, like The Exorcist. 'Twas the night before the exorcism or something like that. Just kind of combine the holidays. I think it would be really, really great.
Merry Christmas.
Probably the scariest movie of all time is Black Christmas with Margot Kidder. I don't know if you remember that from 1974. That is one of the scariest movies I've ever. I still have PTSD from seeing it when I was a kid.
I have that, and Christmas Evil on my watch
that's
list.
a good one. Yeah.
Oh, there's
I
another
have
one.
a pitch
Oh, go
for
ahead.
you guys. I have a pitch for you. When I was a student, I wrote a play called Nice Christmas. And it was not a nice Christmas because the turkey comes to life, hops out of the oven, and like a razorhead alien goes around the house killing everybody off. So
Now,
there's
have you
the
been
opportunity.
pitching this
Alec,
to Netflix?
I can let you have the movie rights, and
Okay.
you can go ahead and knock stuff up, make Nice Christmas.
I might change the title to Knife Christmas if that's not if people won't be too pushed about that.
You wrote that as a student, is that correct?
I did, yes.
You realized that if that were happened today, they'd have to keep you home from school.
Oh, why?
If you'd written that, you'd have to keep you home from school because that's a little scary.
It was very rare, needless to say, the son was gay and the daughter was a lesbian, and it was just all just.
That sounds delightful.
So, Alec, the movie is called The Real House or The Housewives.
The Housewives of the North Pole, and it's going to be streaming
on Peacock.
On Peacock, and I'm happy to report that Kyle Richards was a delight.
That's good to know.
She's been working as an actress since she was a kid alongside of her sister Kim. They did a number of Disney movies. She appeared in The Watcher in the Woods, which was a Disney picture, which starred Bette Davis.
Bette Davis, yes.
So she worked with Bette Davis when she was a little girl.
Does that mean you did your Bette Davis impersonation for her?
I did.
But wait a minute, because that's interesting because Kim also did the Escape from Witch Mountain, the second one with Bette Davis. Remember
with Bette Davis. And there's a great quote from Bette Davis in To Return to Witch Mountain where she's trying to seduce the children into coming over to her side. And she said, "Would you like some ice cream and candy and soda?"
It's really good.
Alec, promise me for the rest of the segment you'll only speak in Bette Davis as we move on.
Of course, Tom, but you have to decide. Is it pre-stroke Bette Davis or post-stroke Bette Davis?
Oh, no!
Pre-stroke for now. I prefer pre-stroke.
Stroke me. That's what I want. Stroke me. Okay, you can stream The Real Housewives of the North Pole now on Peacock.
Now.
Stick with us, Alec, because we're moving on to number 9, and I think we've got a theme here. James.
Okay.
Number 9.
Yeah, speaking of bad holiday movies, boy, I saw one of the worst today.
Oh, please share.
It was what was it? A Castle for Christmas, starring Brooke Shields and Carrie Elways on Netflix, and it is the schmaltziest of the when Netflix goes schmaltzy, they go in. And this out Hallmarks anything Hallmark has ever done. Brooke Shields plays a novelist who is she's in trouble with her fan base because she's killed off one of her beloved main characters. And so she escapes from the scandal and she runs away to Scotland where her grandfather lived as a child. And she goes to stay in this small Scottish town and there's a castle there. And on a whim, she decides to buy the castle from the grumpy old Duke of Dunlap or something or other, Carrie Elways.
Yeah.
And of course, they bicker and they fight, but then they fall in love eventually. And they both, how do I say this delicately? They're both a little grizzled at this point.
Really?
They are not. Carrie Elways,
even Brooke Shields?
So beautiful Brooke Shields, who I love. I've met her 100 times. She's a delight. She is so sweet. I love her to death. Somehow they didn't quite film it in the right, I don't know. There's the lighting. Something is wrong with it. Carrie Elways, who is so handsome in Princess Bride, they're all getting a little old, I guess. And the script is just terrible, but I loved every minute of it. It's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. I have, gotten rid of every drag queen on my Instagram. I just did a cleanse. And all I follow now are castles of Scotland, British royal jewels, and Gothic homes for sale in America.
Beautiful.
All I do. And so this was right up my alley. I was completely mesmerized by the castle. And there's lots of drone shots of sheep on the highland. And everyone does little jigs with the fiddle. And,
That sounds great.
It's
do
wonderful.
you follow Cheap Old Houses on Instagram?
I do follow Cheap Old Houses. That's
fantastic.
one of my favorites.
That's fantastic. All right,
I keep thinking that if I get if the bonus is right this year, I will have just enough to buy one of those Cheap Old Houses and get the hell out of Dodge.
There you go. You could get a mansion in Detroit for $2. You can buy it off of the city.
Some of them are
your bonus this year, James.
$2. What a coincidence. Listen, I'll follow Carrie Elways anywhere because in the mid-'80s, in Maurice, the Merchant Ivory movie, he's like the most beautiful man that's ever lived. No, it was another country. No, I'm sorry, another country starring Rupert Everett.
Yeah, but who was the one from Maurice? Who is that boy? I loved him so much.
Rupert Graves.
Rupert
Graves, yes. Oh, beautiful. So good. Anyway, I wholeheartedly endorse this movie. It's terrible, but it's wonderful.
Oh, because I'm confused because your review was like very negative and then it pivoted to absolutely gorgeous and marvelous.
Well, it's just, I mean, listen, I got the booster shot this week and I have been, it really laid me out. I have been like exhausted. All I can do is just watch bad television and just, I mean, it's hard to get out of bed. Just getting up for this has been impossible. Oh, wow. But,
we're very honored that you joined us. So that's A Castle for Christmas streaming on Netflix. There's 145 Christmas movies. So you could watch one a day for the next, 6 months?
Yeah, till you're dead.
Yeah, right. Number 8. Who is watching Succession?
I am.
Yes.
Oh my! I don't know if I can keep doing this to myself.
Why?
Like, I watched the episode on Sunday and fell. I was just traumatized by it. And the week.
Do we have to spoiler alert for anyone?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to turn around.
Okay. All right. Well, was this the one with Kendall's birthday party?
Oh, that was awful. And I didn't think they could top that in terms of depressing and sort of suicidal inducing. But Chianti it was called. And they all decamped to Italy for a wedding of the mother, the patriarch.
Yes,
who is perhaps more nasty and evil than Roy himself, than the patriarch. Logan, I mean. Yeah, this is so bleak and depressing. James, I do you want to plug your ears? Because
no, go ahead. I'll watch it tonight.
It's great watching bleak, depressing things happen to billionaires. Because I feel like that's a devil's deal. It's like you have every material comfort, you're set for life, and all you're doing is living through your own self-made misery.
Yes.
But if you have billions and you're unhappy, what hope is there?
There's no hope.
There's no hope. There's no hope.
They don't have any cats. That's the problem. But we'll go on to another topic. I'm sorry. Keep going. The ending was unbelievable.
The ending. Oh, well, of course. When Roman sends a dick pic, he thinks he's sending a dick pic to Jerry, who has been his long-term kind of kinky squeeze.
I love that.
And she is now the CEO.
Together, yes.
But he accidentally sends the dick pic to his dad.
How many times have you done that? Good God in heaven.
And it's just, I found it so, I found every story of this episode profoundly depressing. Like, for example, when Shiv and her husband make love, and they get into this role-playing thing, sort of S&M dominatrix thing, and she starts saying, "You're not good enough for me. I don't love you." And it's like, it's just it seemed to me it was like a cross between a Pinter play and The Comeback, just in terms of total
cringe TV.
Cringy.
Yes.
And I took a picture of Dorothy, my dog, after she'd watched it, and she literally just turned away and faced the wall and was just crushed. I just don't know if I can keep going.
Every scene with Tom, every scene with Tom Campbell, every scene with Tom, the actor, it's just so cringeworthy. He is so good at being just, unwatchable.
He's a British actor. Do you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
And Shiv is Australian, I understand.
Yeah,
she's an Australian actor. I love Kieran Culkin on the show. I think he's so hilarious. And I love cousin Greg, who's like 8 feet tall and is just so awkward. And really, he's really good at the cringeworthy scenes as well.
Yeah. I have a feeling that Craig is for the win. I think that it ends with Craig taking the Game of Thrones.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
The end of the episode, I'm not going to give away character, but one of the main characters may have drowned themselves.
It's going to be hard to guess which one that would be.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
No, but I like it. But is it a big fake out? It probably has to be a big fake out.
It has to be a fake out.
I don't think I've seen anything.
Or does everything change? That's what we're talking about here.
There's a
on the Wow
great
Report.
article. There's a big feature about the guy who plays Kendall in the New Yorker, and it's sort of saying he doesn't get the joke, and everybody's saying, "Oh, well, Succession is a comedy." Well, number one, it's not a comedy, and number two, the fact that the actor who plays Kendall is so good. He's so heartbreaking.
He's so good.
I think Greg, the cousin, is almost a almost a parody, but Kendall is searingly real
and thousands of layers. And just when you think he's going to do, he jobs off another. He's kind of impressive and pathetic. Sorry.
Yeah, smart and unaware at the same time. Like also the brother who thinks that he's going to be president.
Oh,
he's cringy too. He's fabulous.
This was the cringiest episode of Succession I think I have ever seen, and I'm not sure that it's possible to show more cringiness on TV without people spontaneously combusting or dying or something.
Tune in this Sunday. I bet you they're going to top themselves.
It's interesting that the brother who thinks he's going to be president is playing the exact same character he played in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but as an older man. He's still terrified of his father. He's still cringeworthy and awful.
Never thought of that.
It is. It's the same character, but just 40 years later.
Alan Ruck.
Nice. Alan Ruck.
Yes.
Well, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll carry on counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow this week with our very special guest, Alec Mapa. Oh, hey, Blake, we got a question.
I do.
I'm so excited that we got Alec with us. I forgot all about the questions.
Well, I want to know what show just broke the record of longest running live action sitcom in American history with
I know the answer.
Beginning recently.
Alec will come back to you after the break and you'll give us the answer.
Okay.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey, welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and our super duper special guest, Alec Mapa, star of The Real Housewives of the North Pole.
I'm the Queen of Christmas.
And while you're watching Christmas movies, let me remind you to watch The Bitch Who Stole Christmas, which is on VH1 currently.
Yes.
Blake, you had a question.
Yes. What show just broke the record of longest running live action sitcom in American history with its 15th season beginning recently?
I just want to say before Alec answers this, that it's a worthy competitor to the one who it broke the record was Married with Children, I think, before that, wasn't it?
I read that it was Harriet and Ozzy. It broke the record.
I think Married with Children is up there, though, and I think this is sort of a worthy companion to that. Go ahead, Alec.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia for the win.
Yes.
Okay,
that's it.
Have never seen one episode.
Oh, so funny.
It's really just terrible people. It's like Succession as a comedy being played as a comedy.
They're all awful people. They're all no redeeming qualities.
They make Seinfeld look cuddly.
Yeah,
it's like this show.
It's great.
Yes.
No redeeming qualities.
Yes.
Like this show.
We are counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow this week. We've reached number 7.
Number 7.
Are you guys sitting down?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm reading a book. I know. I don't read. Okay, it's a book on tape, which is my new way of avoiding television. But it is a 1,000-page book, which translates to 43 hours. It is the oral history of HBO. It's called Tinderbox, HBO's Ruthless Pursuit of New Frontiers, written by James Andrew Miller. We talked about this a little bit because there was some leaks about the book. They talked about Sheila Nevins and some turmoil, and we talked about that. But the book is 1,000 pages long with hundreds of first-person accounts. And, it's not the real people talking, but the voice actors are it sort of sounds like Sheila. It sort of sounds like Bridget Potter.
So it's an oral history, right?
Yes. It's fascinating and boring. I worked there for 4 years, very close to people. And it's more about the succession part of it, but there isn't the I remember so much, and I will never repeat all of the interpersonal stuff that happened.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about.
the dirty laundry. And part of me thinks like, I should write a book about the dirty laundry. And I thought, I don't want anyone writing books about my dirty laundry. So why would I write a book about their dirty laundry?
It's too late. It's going to happen.
I know. I've already started. You know, there are some questions I have, Tom, about from 94 to 98 is what I'm really interested in with you.
Were there any revelations, Tom, in the book that were new to you about HBO that you had not known heretofore?
The one thing that you know who Michael Fuchs is, you know him by name. He is the founder. You know, it's in some ways the details are fascinating. The memory lane that Diana Ross in 1980 was the first music concert that set the standard for all the rest. And the stand up comedy and how they went from stand up to sports. You know, and how they just were like mavericks the whole time and kind of full of themselves. And Michael Fuchs was kind of like, he would come in and he'd be like, did we fuck them or did they fuck us? Like that was his kind of deal making, and which is very typical without the details, which are fascinating. It's like the maverick personality it takes to start something is usually not the entity that can carry it into its corporate life. Although he was there for like 20 years. But when he was kicked out, and I remember this happened, he was 49 years old, which seemed old at the time. It doesn't anymore. And he never held a major media job since. That's the part. I know it's just kind of wild.
He didn't have to. He had his billions.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a golden parachute.
But they're driven. These people are beyond driven. And it speaks about the corporate takeovers of it, because it used to be by itself and then Time Life. And the author uses something I'm going to use a lot now. He says that, you know, to sort of give the whole history of the ownership of HBO, it's like the song, There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Fly. Because it's just like, who swallowed a fly, who swallowed a spider, who swallowed, like it's all over. But, you know, and now they are owned by AT&T and they're going through another huge shift. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm only like,
is it coherent? Because Ruthless Pursuit of New Frontiers is a really weird subtitle. It just seems a bit wishy-washy.
You've picked up on it, Fenton. You're very perceptive, because I don't think it goes deep, but it's comprehensive. It covers 30 years, you know, and all these different people. But it, you know, I have to say, with all due respect, an oral history is kind of everyone's it's not. Sheila is very forthright. Sheila Nevins, who's, you know, won more Emmys than any human being alive, and she feels she's always been that way, right? You know her, and she also, I feel like she's at a point in her career where it's like, I don't give a fuck. I was going to tell you the way I remember it.
Foul-mouthed truth teller, as Alexandra Pelosi called her.
There's one moment, I think, if I didn't get this wrong, where Michael Fuchs was fired. There was still going to be like this big, he was being honored on Friday of that week for some big Jewish, like, you know, charity. And Sheila spoke to him, I don't know, privately or publicly, and just said, you were the best, you know, you're wonderful, I love you. And he goes, I wish you would have told that to everybody before they got rid of me. And she said, and she said, according to Michael Fuchs, she said, I'm sorry, I'm just evil. with her usual sense of humor. So
I think that's your merch. That's your merch opportunity, Tom Campbell. That's going to be on mugs, T-shirts, lunchboxes, bumper stickers, what have you, thermoses. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just evil.
No, yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm just evil. It's fascinating. Like some of the stuff I was there for, Carolyn Strauss, Michael Lombardo, people are quoted. But it's hard. It's not as cohesive as you want it to be. But now that I'm barely watching television, I find it a comfort.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. That's Tinderbox, HBO's Ruthless Pursuit of New Frontiers, available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. Number 6, Jane.
Number 6.
Have you guys seen Power of the Dog yet? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've heard amazing things.
I haven't seen it yet, but I listened to Benedict Cumberbatch being interviewed by Mark Maron, and he's like a nonstop obscene phone call. He's so hot.
It is the craziest. It's a Jane Campion's Western. It's the anti-Brokeback Mountain is what it is. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, who is her real life husband. He plays her husband here, and a kid named Cody Scott McPhee.
Yes.
This sort of lanky gazelle-like boy with big blue eyes and pretty red lips. And he comes on to Kirsten Dunst, Benedict Cumberbatch is this sort of bully. He's this ornery old cowhand in a ranch in 1920s Montana, and he and his brother run the ranch, and the brother is sort of dignified and good, and that's Jesse Jesse Plemons. He marries Kirsten Dunst, and they bring her the teenage son onto the ranch, right? And the teenage son is this pretty boy, and he is obviously effeminate, and there is, he's gay as can be. And Benedict Cumberbatch picks up on it and starts bullying him right away. And he's making fun of his lisp, and he makes fun of him in front of all the cowhands. And then the boy is like all timid and runs away from him, but very slowly Benedict starts to take him under his wing.
Oh, okay.
And he starts to say, I'm gonna make a man out of you, boy, and I'm gonna teach you how to ride and make a rope, and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. And Cody Scott McPhee is like, yes, Phil, yes, Mr. Phil, whatever you say, Mr. Phil. And Kirsten Dunst is all right up saying, no, I don't like any of this. I don't like any of this.
My baby.
Cody Scott McPhee, the boy, Peter, finds a stash of muscle magazines that belongs to Phil. And he starts to realize what Phil is up to. And Phil says, I'd like to take you on a 2-day ride out to the back behind the mountains. And he's like, well, Mr. Phil, that sounds like quite an idea. And so they go off. And when I tell you, nothing happens for the first hour and a half. Nothing. But you drop all these little clues. And then all of a sudden, pow, bang, it's over. It ends. And it is the craziest ending. There's these moments where all of a sudden you're like, who's fucking with who? Who is manipulating who here? Who is really in control of this situation? And there's just these scenes that you keep saying, what the fuck is going on here? What is this kid doing? What is Benedict doing? There's a scene where Benedict has this boy's napkin and he's masturbating to the napkin, and you are just like, what is happening? And then, like I said, it ends, and you sit there for an hour and a half with the TV off saying, what just happened? And you have to read all these, I think, like all these people saying what they think happened. And it is just, when I tell you, it is some of the craziest performances of the year, some of the best writing of the year, some of the best filming of the year. It is unbelievable. This kid, Cody Scott McPhee, knocks it out of the park. Benedict Cumberbatch is brilliant, and you just don't know where it's going.
Wow. That reenactment deserves an Emmy or an Oscar of some kind. I mean, it was really attention must be paid. That was really that was better than You Must Pay the Rent, I Can't Pay the Rent. I mean, that was like an instant classic.
It was Snidely Whiplash.
It was like silk off a spool. Spoiler alert, did they do it?
Well, I can't even go there. I can't even tell you what I had.
Because I can't sit through another gay movie where he just has sex with a piece of fruit. I can't.
Well, no. Well, he has sex with the saddle boy. He and the saddle get it on.
Okay. I have never seen Call Me by Your Name. Is that all that happens? He fucks the peach.
Yeah,
he
fucks the peach. That's the most explicit sex scene in the movie. And they do the thing in like straight guys playing gay guys that I absolutely hate more than anything, just because I've never seen a gay couple do this, that kind of playful wrestle where you push each other and you hit each other and you get each other in a headlock and it's like, hey, you, it's like that doesn't happen ever. It's just, no.
Well, not to mention eating beans for dinner and then, just using spit.
Oh, no, we're talking about Brokeback.
That's Brokeback. That was Brokeback.
Yeah, but
that's what I call Brokeback.
Another thing they get wrong.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've been following Milk's OnlyFans, but okay.
Oh wait,
I won't say anymore.
We're moving on.
Oh, okay. All right, we're moving on.
Number 5.
I want to talk to you about Landscapers on HBO. Has anyone seen Landscapers?
No. Is this like another reality competition show?
No, it's
okay.
Yeah, you think it is. It's the new real life true crime drama with Olivia Colman and David Thewlis. So it's British lovies conquering America. It's a 4-part. It's only 4 parts long.
Okay, I love her.
I love her.
Love her. And this is written by her husband, actually, Ed Sinclair, who's an actor and producer as well. And it tells the true story of Christopher and Susan Edwards. I'd never heard of them. True British story. Convicted of killing the wife, in other words, Olivia's parents, and burying them in the backyard. And then they planted some shrubs on top of it. That's why it's called the Landscapers, because they landscaped the grave.
Okay, that's
and
different.
Then they went up then they went off to France and lived on the lam for 15 years. In fact, no one even knew that the parents were dead for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's a really weird, I wish you'd seen it because it's super, super stylish, but in a way that, when something is super stylish and directed in a very conscious, self-conscious way with lots of tricks, it all pulls you out of it. And you're like, they're being very clever now.
Yeah. Because if you're watching the style more than the story, then it's like, I cut. Check, please.
And Olivia Colman, who I love, everything she does, I love. She's got this sort of fantasy world of Hollywood, and she spends their money on Hollywood memorabilia. And so it lapses into recrees of movies and clips of movies and clips projected on. And I'm like, whatever.
Wait, you're saying this is not worth your time?
Yeah, why are you recommending this?
Well, it made me go wow because everyone else is going wow. You just got to see it.
It made you go wow, but it wasn't any good.
I watched the first episode. I'm sufficiently intrigued to watch the second episode, but I just wasn't convinced. I thought maybe a jury here would help me out and say, no, you got to stick with it.
I haven't seen it. It takes something has to be pretty spectacular for me to stick around. Now, I watched the first episode of Watchmen on HBO and was completely in the dark. I was like, I'm not the audience for this. They're not explaining anything. I don't know what's going on. But Regina King, who is the star of it, was so exceptional. And who else? She's on she was on Designing Women. Jean Smart was so incredible that I was like, okay, I'm sticking around. And it sounds as if, I love Olivia Colman because she's all eyeballs, like a keen painting. If you watch, as a Brit, if you're watching The Crown on seasons 3 and 4, it's all about what she's not saying. It's all about restraint, and that's a really difficult thing to do. I think she's so talented.
I agree, and she was amazing. What was the other thing that she was in?
The Favorite. She was so good in The Favorite.
She won the Oscar for that. But I think the other thing, that British series,
where she was a detective or something.
No,
Fleabag,
where she's the passive-aggressive mother-in-law.
Yes, wonderful.
The thing
played by Tom Campbell.
In this, The Landscaper, she plays a very timid, very fragile character. And that's not the Olivia I want to see. I want the Olivia bitch. Okay. And I sort of feel I'm seeing the Olivia Colman I know. I feel I'm like, I've seen this bit before. And David Thewlis, bless him, isn't my favorite actor, though he was good in that Rimbaud Eclipse.
Oh, right? He was. Totally, yeah.
Getting fucked by Leonardo DiCaprio.
I have a tip. If you're going to murder someone, I have a murder tip for everyone.
Yes, go ahead.
If you murder someone and you bury them in the backyard, in the garden, what you want to do is you want to plant endangered species plants on top of them so that it's illegal to dig for the police to come and dig up the garden.
I didn't know that. That.
So if you murder someone, put endangered plants on top of it, and there's no way that the police can
name one endangered plant.
Well, like some sort of Venus flytrap from Africa or something like that. There's some sort of for some reason it's on a list, and the cops cannot or the FBI cannot come in.
I was going to take it to the next level and go, is that why there's all those bald eagle nests at James' house?
All right, you can watch Landscapers on HBO Max, second episode coming this weekend. 14 queens are competing for the title of Queen of the Universe, hosted by Graham Norton. It's streaming now on Paramount Plus. All right, we're going to take a break. Blake, have you got a question?
I have a question, yes. I'm going to break the format. I wanted to ask, what is your favorite holiday movie, each of you? Like, what movie do you watch almost every season?
Okay.
We'll have the answer for you right after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton. Our special guest today is Alec Mapa. I'm here with Tom and James St. James. It's getting near to the holidays, and Blake had a very seasonal question for us.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, what's everyone's favorite holiday movie? What movie do you watch almost every holiday season? I'll go first. Mine is National Lampoons.
I was gonna say I could do that 100 times a year. I love that movie.
I usually watch it at least once.
Wow.
I see that TBS is doing 24 hours of just it on repeat like they usually do with the Christmas Story.
And that's probably why.
Yeah.
I like Scrooged. I'm a big fan of that Bill Murray movie because he's so salty at the beginning of the movie, and so it's very satisfying at the end. Also, in the 80s, I briefly dated John Glover, who plays the villain in that film, and his 80s haircut brings me back to a happier, simpler, more frightening time.
I had no idea about John Glover. That's fascinating.
I did, yeah.
What one is the? I love those Bass and Rankin, like the Rudolph
stop motion ones. Yeah.
Yes, I love the I'm Mr. White Hot Christmas. I'm Mr. Sun. I'm Mr. Heat Miser. I'm Mr. 101.
I'm Mr. 101. They call it the Year Without a Santa Claus.
That's Year Without a Santa. And I also like the one with just put one foot in front of the other.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
That's it. I love those two. Yes.
Starring Fred Astaire.
Yes.
I would say, as cliche as it is, it would have to be It's a Wonderful Life.
I can't watch that one anymore.
The ending.
I love you, Harry Bailey. I love you till the rest of my life.
I'd like to make a toast to my brother, George Bailey, the richest man I know.
Benson, it looked like you were at a loss and you were going to say you don't.
I just don't watch any holiday movies. I just watch that freaking Yule log on some channel.
Now you love Die Hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Die Hard is my favorite. Thank you, Blake.
Benson, Bah Humbug. I would save this for the Bah Humbug episode. I can't believe you. You have two children and you don't watch any holiday TV.
To be added to the rotation is Krampus starring Toni Collette, which I recently watched. Delightful.
I'm calling child services. I can't believe these poor children are being starved of holiday
Blake
cheer.
is right. Well, I let the family watch them. I just don't watch them. My favorite line from Die Hard is "Ho ho ho." Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
So good.
Do you know what's also a weirdly awful Christmas special, and it's a classic, is the Charlie Brown one? It's like suicidal children. It was the very first Christmas special that was about childhood depression. And it was like for the very first time on network television, children were allowed to be unhappy. And I loved that show as a kid.
But that soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks of all time.
Vince Guaraldi. So good.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We're counting down top 10 things that made us go wow. We've reached number 4, Tom.
Number 4.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but as a single human being, I quarantined the beginning of the quarantine for a year and a half. I quarantined with Chris Cuomo. And I'm sorry to see him go. I know he may have not done the right thing. I know there's allegations. I do think he's kind of cute, but I also he got me through the quarantine. He was bringing information. He had COVID himself. He brought us down to his basement where he's recovering with it. And now he's off the TV screen. Yeah. Hopefully return someday. And
he'll be back.
I don't know all the details. I'm not here to shame or judge. I'm just saying.
Well, I will tell you though, if Jeffrey Toobin can be back after 8 months after jerking off on Zoom, then I think Chris Cuomo will be back. Jeffrey Toobin is, he's been welcomed back with open arms. I think Chris Cuomo will too.
Brian Williams was left NBC covered in infamy because he lied. He lied in personal anecdotes on talk shows about having been places that he was, having met people that he'd never met, and he left. And now he's back full-time on MSNBC. So give it a year and he'll be on Dancing with the Stars, I promise.
Okay, well, I look forward to that.
It is interesting, Tom, that like you said, I remember Randy Rainbow singing about being Cuomo-sexual about his brother and how much we loved his brother for getting us through, for those daily, briefings. And then everybody turned on him and everyone turned on Chris Cuomo like that. It's so interesting how the Democrats will eat their own, whereas Republicans do not do that.
They don't.
And the thing is, I don't know about Chris. I don't know Chris Cuomo. I get a little annoyed with Don Lemon gushing over him every single episode. That to me drives me bananas.
Well, we all know what that's
he
about.
hasn't mentioned anything. Don has been very quiet. It's a very awkward situation.
And the look on Don's face is like this every night. But the two of them were just really grossing me out. So I'm sort of glad to see Chris go. I have to say.
Well, again, he got me through for getting me through the quarantine with some amount of sanity. Thank you, Chris Cuomo, and I hope that I wish the best for everyone everywhere.
All right. All right.
All right. That's Chris Cuomo is out, not out of the closet, out of CNN. Number 3, James.
Number 3.
I told you that I had got my booster shot on Sunday, and it really just packed a wallop on me. I have had the chills. I haven't been warm since Sunday. I've been I take hot showers 10 times a day. I have headaches, and I have been exhausted. I literally slept 24 hours on Monday. I took the day off, and I got up to eat some potato chips and cookies, and I went back to bed. It really... I don't know. It's very interesting that I didn't have a reaction for the first two at all. But
I did. This one made me sleepy. The booster made me sleepy. I will, but I can't blame my chip and cookie eating on the booster. I have that's on me. But I got the Johnson & Johnson, which made me very sick for 48 hours.
Really?
Because it was one dose, and then the booster I got Moderna. So I'm a cocktail of immunization, and it made me very sleepy. I got very
Yeah.
I have read, I'm no expert, take no medical advice from me, but I've read that if you have a big, strong reaction to it, it means that it's working.
I'm not worried about it. It was interesting to me because I thought I was pretty immune to those things. But anyway, so I've been in a news blackout a little bit, and I don't really know. I haven't been following the Jussie Smollett case, which went to trial went to jury this week. And Blake was telling me a little bit about it, how that Jussie now says that he was sleeping with one of the boys. Can anyone update me on what's going on?
He was going to a bathhouse with one of the boys, and they had mutual masturbation in a private room.
Wow.
And so Jussie was able he came and took the stand, which is very bold. And when he laid out his story to his defense, his defense lawyers, he was able to bring up all of this stuff that just kind of threw mud in the water, or just Hollywood gossip and, just stir, and kind of made your head spin. The next day, the prosecution came in and kind of reminded the jury that this is why we're here. It's about this incident, and held Jussie to details why did you circle 3 times around the block the night before with these 2 guys, exactly the spot that he checked the list. And some of the outlets, I'm not seeing any of the testimony, I'm just reading, which is all skewed, but they're saying that he was really taken to task by the prosecution after that. So, yeah.
Well, so wait, what happened then, Tom? Is Jussie guilty, or is he making up the whole thing? What is going on?
I don't know. It's so dirty. I not that I matter, but I think he's guilty. I think he made something up. I think he was in cahoots with these guys. He says that he gave them money to get him Nigerian organic steroids so he could be in shape for a scene. I mean, the excuses are a little,
what was the bathhouse? I want to know.
The bathhouse thing. I think he was trying to say we're having a sexual relationship, so that's why this guy's obsessed with me. He's just, and the guy says he did not, and they were in a steam room and they jacked off. Also this stuff's all for largely straight media. It's oh my God. And as gay people are like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, masturbating in a steam room. Give me some dirt. That's this Tuesday afternoon.
A little bit. I don't think we're so shamed for our sexual behaviors.
You must have felt really, really sick, James, not to be following this case.
Again, I don't want anything bad happen to Jussie, but it seems really weird, and he's very defensive, and it just, if you'd like to think if somebody were innocent, they'd be able to have a straighter line to the truth.
And the thing that makes me feel bad about this is there are people who have been injured in hate crimes who do have a legitimate gripe, and this doesn't help their case at all.
The MAGA people are just horrible enough as it is. I don't think we need to lie about them. I think that I feel like he's sort of done harm to the cause.
Yeah.
The jury will decide.
Well, I'm just going to tee up this next item, number 2.
Number 2.
Death machine pods, because it's such a my light keeps on my special what do you call the light that you put
The
on?
circle light?
Thank you. It keeps on falling off.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to tell you about Death Machine Pods. Very exciting. It's called the Sarco, Sarco, and Philip Nitschke, who was actually the first doctor to administer a lethal, legal, voluntary injection to 4 of his patients, has invented this thing that you can print with a 3D printer. It's portable. You can set it up wherever you want. And it's like a sort of cocoon, and you get in it. And then once you enter, you get sent an authentication code. And once you've verified that, it sucks all the air out of the pod, and you die. And his whole thing, what's intriguing about this is, his whole thing is like your last day should be your best day. Should be why you got to inject yourself with barbiturates or something like that. Why not go out on a high? Euphoric. And he says that, he says as he's explaining this, he says, well, if you've ever been in a plane that suddenly decompresses, which I'm pretty confident none of us here have been, or actually no one listening to the show has been.
I hope not.
Apparently, if that happens, you get actually very giddy very quickly, and you're like, oh, why should I put on this mask? I'm having so much fun. So apparently it's a very painless and euphoric way to go. And you don't have what he calls oxygen thirst. There's
no experience of you suffocating, no kind of terrifying moment where you're like, hey, we're out of oxygen.
No gasping for breath, because you can still breathe. You're still breathing. It's just you're not getting any air.
All right.
So you're not like you can breathe. But you get very inebriated very quickly.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Does it come with a cleanup crew for the pod, or is your roommate or housemate stuck with this dead body in the house?
That costs more. It's like when you order a mattress and you have to pay extra for them to take the other one away.
Right.
I was like, he's thought of everything except there's these pods all over the place with dead people in, and who wants to go in and drag the dead pod
do you
out?
just drag it out to the sidewalk and just like the garbage picks it up at the end of the day?
Like a Christmas tree after Christmas. Just leave it. Yeah, just put it out.
Dark.
I remember there was a couple of years ago, I think we talked about it on the show, where there was a death by roller coaster. A man invented a roller coaster that was went so fast it killed you, and that was a euphoric way to go out too.
Yes, and in fact,
I'm sort of all about these euphoric ways to die.
Yeah, there's a movie about it called Proposition H or Preparation H or something like that.
Ways to die.
When you said lethal injections, I thought you were going to be talking about Alec Mapa's dermatologist, but I guess not.
When you said death pods, I thought that it was going to be like a Keurig or something,
like Tide Pods or something.
Like a little like coffee machine, death machine. Like it's portable. You drink it and then you're dead. So
killer coffee.
And are these pods are they sent to people with terminal illnesses, or are they sent to people with suicidality? I mean, who qualifies for a death pod?
According to him, anyone over the age of 50 qualifies for a death pod.
Right.
You don't, because he's like, why have you got to be dying of a terminal illness? I mean, you're practically dead then anyway. He's like, if you want out, you should be able to get out.
Your way of telling God, I quit.
Yes, he wants a good death for all. Death for all.
I just want to remind people listening that the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255.
Thank you, Tom. Let's take one more quick break, and when we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. We're sort of getting near to the end of, well, actually, we're not that near to the end of the year. So, but we have a very special guest today, Alec Mapa.
It's all for you, Damien.
That laugh alone, what the heck is happening? Oh my gosh, we've reached number one, counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go wow. Do you want to do the big reveal, Alec?
Yes. Well, I'm coming to you live from my death pod right now, and the oxygen is depleting as we speak. So I have to get this out. My number one. I'm kidding. My number one thing that I've been going wow about.
Number one.
I've been listening nonstop to a podcast that TCM put out called The Plot Thickens. And last year they covered the making of the making it was the Melody Griffith, Tom Hanks,
the Vanity of the Bonfire,
Bonfire of the Vanities, absolutely fascinating. This season 3, they take on the entire life story of Lucille Ball, from her growing up in Jamestown to coming to New York, to coming to Hollywood as a showgirl, to being a contract player at RKO, where they tried a million different things to make her a star. None of them stuck. She got into radio, and then she got a television contract. They put her out in front of an audience, and a star was born. And she was 40 years old, and it's absolutely fascinating. And there's so much audio from Lucille Ball herself, and even from Aaron Sorkin and the people working on the Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem Amazon movie that's coming out shortly.
Well, during the break, Alex said, has anybody seen the new Lucy movie yet? And we haven't, but we're all looking forward to it. But it is so amazing, because I'm listening to this podcast too. I think it's up to the 10th episode's dropping. And it's so fun to get the background in anticipation of to sort of prime you for the movie, which is getting pretty good reviews. Nicole Kidman's getting very good reviews, because people are very
weird, because you talk about style over substance and how sometimes it takes you out of the movie, and that weird thing they do with her face, just I don't know if I can watch 2 hours of that.
Oh, but they've been doing that with her face for the last 50 years. I mean, like Nicole Kidman, she did an HBO series last year where she had a young child in school. And it's like, she's had a young child in school for the past 20 years. But what's interesting about this podcast is you realize what innovators Lucy and Desi were. They had never shot a sitcom in front of a live audience before. They'd never done 3-camera comedies. They invented that format. And the reason that they did it was nobody had ever done that before. They wanted to shoot the show live, and then they would show it on the East Coast by showing a rotoscope, which is just a camera aimed at a television watching the show. Desi Arnaz said, no, that's going to be terrible. Lucy said, no, we're going to film it. And CBS said, okay, if you film it, you guys pay for it and you own it. So they didn't think anybody wanted to watch it again. And I Love Lucy became so popular that they ran out of shows at one point, and they reran the shows, and it got even better ratings. So they invented reruns. It's fascinating.
When Lucy was pregnant with the real Desi Jr., there was like 2 months they didn't have any shows, and they started doing repeats. And it was the time when people were still buying television. So like double the people in the country had television. So more people watch the repeats than watch the real things. It's full of fun, amazing facts like that.
Right. And on the last episode, you find out Lucy's prowess as a producer. 2 of the series that she greenlit against the advice of her network board, Mission Impossible and Star Trek. Those were her decisions.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
Nope.
That's
nope. They said it's too expensive. We can't do it. And she said, let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, and another little tidbit of information, a little bit of the new movie is filmed right here at World of Wonder headquarters.
That's right.
Ooh.
If you want to make a 1950s street, you shoot outside the door of World of Wonder. That's kept us in water and paper cups for many years.
It was during the pandemic, and actually I was in the office and I was leaning out the window taking pictures. I'll post them to Blake, and you can put them on the Wow Report.
Did you see Nicole? Did you see her as
did.
Lucy?
Yes, I did.
Yes. I'm playing Lucy in the sequel. That's right. The Revenge of Desi Lou.
It's animated.
Put Star Trek on the air.
Alec, I can't begin to thank you enough for your time and for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Tom, and thank you, Blake, and thank you all for listening. I will just say one thing before we go. 14 new queens of RuPaul's Drag Race season 14. You can find them on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents, and watch them sashay into the workroom in a 2-hour mega episode, January 7th, 2022 on VH1.
Can't wait.
Good season.
Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go wow.
Wow. Woo.